This season of the Urban Conservative Podcast is brought to you by Newton for Senate, working to improve education, reduce taxes, and keep North Carolina #1 for business. Find out more at newtonforsenate.com. This episode of the Urban Conservative has also been sponsored by Case Technology Consulting. Help your business get value out of its data and become more efficient and streamlined. Case Technology Consulting. Check out the link in the description. On Tuesday, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson asked questions during the Glacier Northwest Inc. versus International Brotherhood of Teamsters oral arguments.
And so,
but isn't that what's being alleged here? I mean, I appreciate that distinction, but I guess I'm not sure I understand what you mean when you talk about the distinction. I mean, the allegation in this case, and you could imagine even hypothetically, is that the union certainly has the right to walk away.
Yes. And
if they're walking away, and their responsibilities involve perishable goods,
yes,
that as a result of their walking away are going to spoil,
right,
then that's an incidental harm that is occurring. But you can also imagine a situation in which the union says, we have evidence that we're going to time our walking away,
yes,
at the very point in which we've poured the thing that can't be recovered, because if we do it at that point, we're going to destroy the machines, and that is our intent. I don't understand how that is protected and why that isn't any, the same as the arsonist who says, I'm gonna walk away, but as I do, let me strike the match and burn down the factory.
So what's always been critical to the board's cases is the extent of the harm. So the aggravated nature of the harm, the foreseeable imminence of the harm, not the intent.
But I'm asking what should be. I appreciate that it hasn't been clear, but that I think is part of the problem. So in terms of the logic of this, shouldn't the line be drawn around the intent in the sense of, is the union engaging in conduct for the purpose of destroying the property of the factory, or is the union just striking, and if some of the property gets damaged because they're walking away, that's incidental, that's totally protected?
So that should not be the test for two reasons, a doctrinal and a statutory. So let me give you the statutory first. Congress in Section 151, the very first section of the Act, observed that strikes generally have the, quote, intent or necessary effect, close quote, of causing a variety of economic harm, including a stoppage of the flow of raw materials and interruptions of operations. And certainly Congress was aware of perishables like cheese and milk and concrete in 1930.
Okay, but that's still not getting to me. Yes, economic harm is being inflicted when you stop work.
Intentionally.
You intentionally stop the work. But the question is, can you do something that actually intends to affect the property directly, to make it the property unsalvageable? We can't get new people in here as a result of the strike and pick up where we left off because you've literally burned down the factory. We agree that you can't burn down the factory, right?
We absolutely agree you cannot burn down the factory.
All right.
You cannot smash things.
House Resolution 12, a resolution establishing a select committee on the weaponization of the federal government as a select investigative subcommittee of the Committee on the Judiciary, passed along party lines on Tuesday.
Becoming chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Mr. Jordan of Ohio.
The gentleman from Ohio is recognized for 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the gentleman yielding. A ploy. It's not a ploy when the Department of Justice treats parents as terrorists, moms and dads who are simply showing up at a school board meeting to advocate for their son or daughter. A ploy. It's not a ploy when the FBI pays Twitter $3 million, not one, not two, $3 million to censor American citizens. It's not a ploy when the Department of Homeland Security tries to set up a disinformation governance board, because we all know that the Department of Homeland Security can tell what's good speech and what is bad speech, I mean, you got to be kidding me. I tell you what, dozens of whistleblowers who've come talk to Republican staff on the Judiciary Committee don't think this is a ploy. That's why they came to talk to us. They know how serious this is. The former Democrat chair of the Judiciary Committee is in the press today saying we're going to fight this tooth and nail. This is political. But meanwhile, the former Democrat chair of the Intelligence Committee pressured Twitter to censor a journalist. You've got to be kidding me. This is the most important. This is about the First Amendment, something you guys used to care about. And I'd actually hoped we could get bipartisan agreement on protecting the First Amendment, the 5 rights we enjoy as Americans under the First Amendment. Your right to practice your faith, your right to assemble, right to petition the government, freedom of press, freedom of speech. Every single one's been attacked in the last 2 years. Government was telling people they couldn't go to church just a few years ago. Your right to assemble, your right to petition the government. The Democrats kept the Capitol closed. You couldn't, as a citizen, couldn't come to your Capitol that you pay for to address your member of Congress, to redress your grievances because Nancy Pelosi wouldn't let you in. Freedom of the press, I just told you what the head of the Intel Committee tried to do to a journalist. The most important right we have, though, is your right to talk. Because if you can't talk, you can't practice your faith, you can't share your faith, you can't petition your government, the right to speak is the most important, and that's what they're going after. And that's why we've had dozens of whistleblowers come talk to us. We want to focus on that because we want it all to stop. We want the double standard to stop. This idea that if you're a pro-life activist, you're going to get your door kicked in, you're going to get arrested and handcuffed in front of your 7 kids and your spouse for simply praying in front of an abortion clinic and telling the guy who was harassing your son to knock it off. You're going to have the FBI raid your home. But the protest that went on, at Supreme Court justices' homes in the aftermath of the leak of the Dobbs opinion, no problem there. Americans are sick and tired of it. And what we want, we don't want to go after anyone. We just want it to stop. And we want to respect the First Amendment to the Constitution that the greatest country in the world has. That's what this committee is all about. And that's what we're going to focus on. That's what we're going to do. And I yield back to the gentleman.
California Governor Gavin Newsom presents the 23-24 state budget proposal while taking shots at Fox News' Sean Hannity.
Sort of similar. Earlier in December, you said that the state had spent about $1 billion at the southern border over the last 3 years, that the state was not in a position going forward to continue doing that. Does that still hold true? Does that money completely stop? Has there been any assurances from the federal government they will help?
We've had, I couldn't, well, let me back up. It is true, the state of California has absorbed about $1 billion. It depends, we've appropriated a little over $1 billion, actually. Not spent it yet, but appropriated. Includes the fiscal year moving in over the course of the next few months. We're not anticipating that we can, in this budget, absorb those costs going forward. Now, here's 2 points that are important to make. One is we don't believe, in some respects, it's necessary, and in this respect in particular, that we have some very intensive, highly medically focused sites that we stood up during the peak of the pandemic, where we did something. Someone needs to tell that guy, Sean Hannity, who's out there saying, we never test anyone comes over the border. I mean, these guys make stuff up. We were testing people coming over the border, and we were vaccinating people coming over the border. I was hearing them last night just go off. We have to get that off my watch list. But it's important to know what they just make up. So we were testing people. These are what they call TVRC sites, these testing vaccination resource centers. And so those are very intensive. They're medically focused. As we move past the most acute parts of this pandemic, we don't think we have to be at that level of intensity. So we're already looking to phase those out. And then we would look to stack a framework of focus on the most vulnerable. So there's a different spend. There's a different strategy. That said, even in that strategy, there's concerns around a post-Title 42 world. Now we have to recalibrate as it relates to the proposal on parole that the president just made over the weekend and assess what that means or does not mean in terms of our burdens coming across the border. We have had, to your question around the Biden administration, some remarkably good conversations. And I say remarkably because there's renewed energy and focus in this space, demonstrably so with the president's visit to the border. and his own announcement prior to that visit and his current time in Mexico that give me confidence in the partnership moving forward and resources presenting themselves anew. So the budget lays out less intensive investment, but under the criteria of those 2 points of consideration. We don't need to be as intensive on the medical vaccination and testing side, and we anticipate federal support.
Sara Huckabee Sanders makes her first remarks after being sworn in as the governor of Arkansas yesterday. Check out this clip.
Thank you. Wow. Speaker Shepard, President Hester, members of the Supreme Court, distinguished members of the General Assembly, and my fellow Arkansans. It is an absolute honor to stand before you as the 47th governor and the first woman governor of the great state of Arkansas. I was 13 years old when I attended my first joint address back in 1996. Some of you may actually recall it was a pretty chaotic day. After getting lost in the surging crowd of the hall, I actually missed part of my dad's first big speech in this very chamber. Today, I made sure to get here bright and early, and much to the surprise of pretty much anyone who knows me, I'm actually on time. I'm grateful to be joined by my family, my wonderful husband, Brian, our 3 kids, Scarlett, Huck, and George, and members of our extended family. Thank you all for being here. We are also honored to be joined by former Governor Asa Hutchinson and the First Lady Susan Hutchinson. Thank you so much for your service to our state and the example that you have led with over the last 8 years. I hope I can meet the bar that you have set. I also want to recognize former Senator and Governor David Pryor and his wife Barbara, who set an incredible example of service and love for our state. I know how much you loved Arkansas and what a great job you did as parents, because I had the opportunity as the Attorney General of Girls State to spend an entire day with your son where he treated me better than anybody should have. And I'm very grateful for your leadership and your service. Thank you for being here today. As we gather in these storied chambers at the dawn of a new day, a turning point in the history of Arkansas will usher in a new era of good jobs, great schools, safer streets, and stronger families. The people of Arkansas, in their vast wisdom, have entrusted a new generation to lead. This is our moment. This is our opportunity. And you and I are the leaders who our people have chosen to get the job done. Our reasons for such high confidence and boundless optimism are many. History teaches us that to every generation comes not only great challenges, but great opportunities, and often in quick succession. After the upheaval of World War II, there were decades of unparalleled economic growth. And after the turmoil of Vietnam, stagflation, and the gas lines of the 1970s, there was peace and prosperity of the Reagan era. After the financial crisis of 2008 and years of lingering stagnation, there was an unprecedented economic boom. Like the rest of our country, Arkansas has weathered its fair share of storms. A worldwide pandemic, shuttered schools, crippling inflation, and rising crime. But here in Arkansas, that long night of hardship and heartache is breaking into a brighter tomorrow. If we seize this moment together, if we act on the principles that each of us hold dear, we can make Arkansas stronger than it ever has been before. I couldn't ask for better partners in this endeavor. President Hester, Speaker Shepard, your partnership is the reason that I know we will deliver for the people of Arkansas. I want this legislature to know that as governor, I will always have an open door and an open mind. And like most of you, take note I did say most, I don't care about getting the credit. I only care about getting results. So this session, let us think bigger, let us think bolder, and do better than we ever have before. I'll pause. Be careful, in my last job, they never clapped for me at the podium, so when it starts now, I'm gonna give you a minute. With family budgets still battered by inflation, let's deliver another historic tax cut and give the people of Arkansas the pay raise that they deserve. Let's not surrender the competition for jobs to other states. Let's cut taxes and bring jobs right here to Arkansas. And let's also cut wasteful spending so we can continue to phase out the state income tax altogether. The challenges that we face in education did not appear yesterday, and they certainly will not be solved tomorrow, but we will get started fixing it today. I ask you to send me legislation that expands pre-K, improves literacy, and gives students real-world skills they need to succeed in the workplace. Parents cannot be an afterthought in education. Parents are the foundation of a child's success. So let's give parents a greater role in education, including the right to choose the school that's best for their child, whether it is public, private, or parochial. When we give parents a choice, we give children a chance. In these endeavors, I will be guided by clear principles that I know each of you share. Among these principles is the belief that the first responsibility of government is to secure the lives, the liberty, and property of its citizens. Any government that tolerates rampant crime has failed in its most important duty. As of today, Arkansas will tolerate crime no longer. Together, we will build the prison space we need to keep our citizens safe, and we will put more of our courageous cops on the street. We will shut down the crime wave that has plagued our cities. And let me be clear, we will teach our children that the badge is a symbol of justice. The police are a force for good, and our officers are heroes who are worthy of our highest respect. There is so much more we can achieve as partners working together. If you send me legislation promoting adoption or improving foster care, I will sign it. And if you send me a bill defending the right to free speech or the right to keep and bear arms, I will sign it. And if you send me a bill that rewards our teachers with higher pay, I will sign it. But make no mistake, if you send me legislation that grows our government at the expense of freedom, I will veto it without hesitation or remorse. As a mom of 3 kids, I have no problem saying no. Today, let us reaffirm our commitment to a timeless American idea that government exists not to rule the people, but to serve the people. The special interest will speak loudly, but it is the voice of the people that we must hear and follow. They are the men and women who till the soil, drive the long hauls, and run the restaurants. The people who work hard, give back to their communities, and help their neighbors in times of need. The people who teach their children to love God and to be proud of their country. They take responsibility for their actions, and they deserve a government that does the same. A government that does a few things and does them exceptionally well. That is the government that they voted for, and that is what we will deliver. Today, let us each pledge that we will not rest until we have a government that is as good and decent and hardworking as the people of Arkansas. I ask you to stand with me as we work for the state we love and for the people that we serve. Thank you so much for the honor of being your governor. God bless you, and God bless the great state of Arkansas. Thank you so much.
This season of the Urban Conservative Podcast is brought to you by Newton for Senate, working to improve education, reduce taxes, and keep North Carolina #1 for business. Find out more at newtonforsenate.com. This episode of the Urban Conservative has also been sponsored by Case Technology Consulting. Help your business get value out of its data and become more efficient and streamlined. Case Technology Consulting. Check out the link in the description.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.